Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode for the Midian Guard. Today I am bringing out the big black box again. I love this game, Vampire. And today I wanted to bring out my next deck, being Brujah. So there's a bit of a theme going on. Last time it was Salubri, and that was a fair bit of attack. And with the Brujah not being Euro Brujah, they're going to be quite attacky. So thought I'd just get this deck out. And going through the deck just before this video, I noticed that there were 2 vampires missing. That's okay, we're just going to keep going with what we've got. So we've got Count Germain deck. Okay, now Count Germain comes in 2 different forms. I'm going to be putting the card up. We've got, that's the advanced version, and that's the non-advanced version. Now you will see on him that he has the lightning bolt, so he's very fast. He's also got fortitude, and that's that kind of brick format with the, if I could get that to the camera, that one there. He's also got the punch icon and the star icon, but really what Count Germain was for the celerity, the speed, fortitude to actually be preventing damage, and the fist for all the items that the fist gives. So I had about two advanced and 3 of the non-advanced. Now also in the deck I had 2 Karsh, who appears to share the same abilities. That's going up on the screen as well. Actually, it's 3 Karsh and 2 Jalans. Okay, Jalan is a Gangrel tribute. So, and they share very similar abilities. There's 2 cards out of this deck. I'm not sure what they are. So yeah, we'll just continue on. Now, had a lot of fun getting this deck together. When I was looking through the deck, there were 4 cards missing. I don't really think it matters, and I would play this deck based on those 4 cards missing. So I'll just get the master cards out. We'll start with the masters. Now, a lot of this deck is, I think I made it at a time when there was a lot of stealth and bleed happening, and I was just getting a little tired of that. So I made a deck to, like, all right, I'm just going to hit you. You better be bleeding pretty well because I'm really going to affect you. Now, to start off with, legal manipulations, come over for a bleed at +2. You know, you're either going to stop it or you bounce it, yeah? Eventually, I'm getting into combat with someone, all right? So these are just like, you know, when you're boxing, you're throwing the left and then you follow up with the right. These are the lefts, yeah? Come, dare you to stop me. Dare you to throw that punch back, yeah? Social charm, bleed at +1, played 2 of them, okay? And then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these action cards, oh no, I didn't start with masters. Sorry, these are all actions, my bad. These action cards, 8 bums rushes, yeah? You've got a vampire there giving me a lot of trouble. I'm coming over and hitting him, okay? So a lot of the decks will come into a point where they just start stopping combat, but you've only got a certain amount of cards to actually do what you want to do. If you're a boating deck or a bleeding deck, a stealth deck or an intercept deck, you know, you've only got so many amount of cards. So, you know, 8 bums rushes is pretty scary for any deck to come up against. Pretty much I put it on, I'm selecting one of your vampires and I'm coming to attack it. Yeah, you can stop the combat, but then that's coming again next round and the round after, maybe the next turn with another vampire that I've got on the table. So as you can see, the theme is we're going to punch face. So now the majority of the rest of the deck, you know, these are 90 card decks. I would think there's about 50 or so cards here, if not more, of just combat. Okay. So once we're getting into combat, I've got 5 torn signposts here, okay? So my vampires, they rip up a torn signpost, they rip up the signpost and they come at every vampire and start whacking them with it. The great thing about this card is it does not count as equipment. Effectively, it's hand damage. Before range is determined, this vampire has a strength of 2 for the remainder of combat, and at advance, which the vampires have, it's for 3 damage. So every punch, it's for 3 damage. Now remember these vampires. Now I've got some pretty high vampires in this. Here's 9 blood. You've got Karsh sitting at 10 and Count Germain sitting at 8. So if you can imagine, like 3 hits will send any vampire to torpor, as I talked about in the last video. Once you go to 0, past 0, boom, you're in torpor, and if it's aggravated damage, there's a chance of being burnt, and in torpor you can be killed. Alright, so only usable before range is determined in the first round of combat. This card Trap. Right, during the press step, if any Methuselah has played a card earlier in the current round, or during the 2 previous rounds, the trap automatically provides a press to continue. So yeah, the theme of it is we're in combat and I'm going to press for another round and another round and another round. As long as I keep playing the cards, I'm hoping cards like this come up to continue the combat. Once a deck gets into combat with a deck like this, you know, unless they're a fighting deck themselves or can just stop combat, like I said, eventually the combats are going to happen. We're going to be in hand to hand. It's a scary deck. Immortal Grapple, I love this one. So all those combat decks that are using equipment out there, swords and so forth, this keeps it only to hand damage. Immortal Grapple pretty much grabs the opponent. You're not using anything except like headbutts and punches and so forth. So yeah, I've got 3 of them in the deck. I'm surprised I didn't have many more, so it's probably some of the missing cards that were in there. Now, one of the characters, I think it's Karsh, does have Gangrel ability. He can use the Wolf Claws in there, okay? Wolf Claws, automatic aggravated damage. Put that in with the Signpost, doing 3 damage, then throw that up, it's 3 aggravated damage. That's pretty bad. Setting vampires to torpor, burning them, yeah. Now, we talked about the speed symbol on the vampires. Oh no, actually had a few more Wolf Claws actually. There were 4 more to go, so that's 5 in the deck so far. If I go look at the vampires who have that ability, Jalan, the Gangrel Antitribu, Karsh, who's also a Gangrel, has that ability, and Count Germain does not. So it was really for those vampires, a secondary out, if I didn't get Count Germain on the table, for those other 2 vampires to really shine. Now, maneuver or press. So as before with the other card, a continual press. This one, if you're moving out to long range and then waving at me and smiling, that's where these come in, you know, change it back to short range, and even put a press on a combat if it's going really well. At advanced level, which they all do have, it's giving an optional press, so the maneuver's always there to actually bring it back to short combat. So after this combat's happening and we punch 2 additional strikes that are going to hit the opponent. So yeah, really happy about that. Then I've got Pursuit. So that's maneuver and additional strike. So the pursuits I played, like I was really concentrated on keeping people in combat. And when I got them in there, I really wanted to make it count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those maneuvers, or an additional strike at advanced level. Here's a card that was causing a lot of problems, Disarm. It's up there on the screen, so I'm just going to read it out. Only usable at the end of a round of combat in which the vampire successfully inflicted more damage at close range than the opposing vampire. So that's that close range coming into it, okay? Not usable by a vampire going into torpor, so I'm the one causing that vampire to go into torpor, not me, all right? Put this card on the opposing vampire and send that vampire to torpor. Bye-bye. The vampire with this card has -1 strength, and he or she may burn this card by burning 3 blood. All right, when you're in torpor, you've got to get out. If you've got no blood, thanks to the torn signpost, you're going hunting. This might take a while to get off, especially when you need 1 strength. I'm getting into combat with you. If you're only providing 1 damage, you're providing nothing. You're like a flea. And yeah, I'm continuing with the pummel. All right, vampire can only have 1 disarm. Unfortunately, you just can't stack these. And at advance, as above, but the vampire with this card has -2 strength. Guess what? My vampires have the advance, so it's running around with -2 strength. Love it. All right. So that was only one of. Who knows? Maybe there was deck room that was an issue. Right, next card, Psych, giving a press. Okay, I played 3 of them. So it's a normal presser, only usable at the end of combat with both combatants are still ready. So I haven't sent them to torpor. Enter combat with the opposing minion. This is a new combat. So it's great. It means I can restart presses. Now, if I did come into trouble in combat against another vampire that was giving as good as he got, that's where the fortitude comes in, okay? So, superior metal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this card. Prevent all damage from the opposing minion strike. Boom! Alright, as above for the advance, and each round of this combat, this vampire may burn 1 blood to prevent all damage from the opposing minion's first strike for that round, okay? So it is costing a blood each time I use it, but you know what, taking that 1 damage as opposed to if he's running around with a torn signpost perhaps, yeah. Alright, Soak, I've got 2 of these in this deck. Vampire may play only 1 Soak each round, so I can continue the combat with presses but only per round. Prevent up to 2 aggravated damage, very important, especially coming against Gangrel, as you can see from this deck. And prevent up to 4 non-aggravated damage. Sorry, I read that wrong. Soak is non-aggravated damage. So yeah, aggravated was still giving me a problem. That's where the superior metal comes in, yeah? This was just another out, but it doesn't cost me 1 blood to play these. And that's why they're in there, because sometimes you just can't afford to spend a blood, and if you're lucky enough to have it in hand. Otherwise, you go with some lighter defense, rolling with the punches. Got 4 of them. Prevent 1 damage, and this at advance, this vampire burns 1 blood to prevent all damage from the opposing minion strike this round of combat. So that's actually a pretty good one, but once again, you are burning blood to actually get the better effect. Now, with these vampires, cards like that, they're burning blood to stay alive, to stay in combat, and they're taking a bit of damage. So they're the warriors out there, they're doing the job for you. You need to keep them healthy. One way of that was Taste of Vitae, which I had 4 of in there. Only usable at the end of a round of combat, not usable by a vampire going into torpor, okay? This vampire gains an amount of blood equal to the amount lost by the opposing vampire to damage during the round of combat. The vampire can only play 1 Taste of Vitae each round. So, after I've done the 3, 4, whatever amount of damage to this vampire, I'm getting that back. Up to my maximum, of course. So, if they've done 3 to me and I've done 4 to them, I get 4 back. So, as you can see, keeping the blood on. And this is where the master cards come into effect. So, master cards. Let me just go through some that affects based on the theme that I just said. We've got the blood dolls in there. So, I can move blood to vampires or I can take it off. Switch it around. Also got 4 minion taps in there. If I need to take a fair bit of blood back, off a vampire and get another vamp out, or move it into through the blood doll into another vampire. That's what I'm doing with minion tap. Now, there is also a Warzone hunting ground. Get it out there, get your vampires feeding if they need it. Alright, so going back to the Bums Rush, we also have Haven Uncovered, which I had 5 of. So if my 8 or 9 Bums Rushes don't get you, I'm sending my guys out with information looking for the haven where your vampires sleep. Put that on it, Haven Uncovered, my vampires are coming over to pay a visit. You know, unlike many of the shows that you see, they don't need an invite into your house, they just come in and wreak havoc, smash face. Tension in the ranks, okay? I've got 2 of them in my hand here that were in the deck. It's a unique master, so you can only play 1. Put this card in play whenever a ready minion is burned or sent to torpor. Remember that aggravated damage, remember that amount of damage that I'm doing with all the presses, the additional strikes, and the continuance of combat. Well, eventually vampires are going to torpor. The controller of the minion burns 1 blood. Any Methuselah can burn this card by discarding 2 master cards as a master phase action. So not only am I getting cards out of their hand, cards that they really want to play most likely, they're losing 1 blood for each time their vampires in torpor. Yep. Bring him out, dunk him back in again, lose another one. And that theme continues with 3 fame. So fame is very much a card of your vampire is actually quite famous for some reason. Let's just take, for example, a famous singer. I dunk them, they go missing, they've got a concert. Where is it? Questions are being asked, the media's involved. This is causing pressure. It is bringing light to what's happening. You know, where is this person? Bringing light to the fact of vampirism. Okay, that this guy is a vampire, only seen at night. Why aren't we seeing him? You know, vampires don't need that extra attention, yeah? They learned a lot from the Inquisition, and they really don't need that happening again with people having too much knowledge. And that's why the whole scene for vampire, they don't rule over the masses, because there's a lot more humans than there are vampires, and they will rise up and cause another Inquisition. Well, that's what they're afraid of anyway. Tell the Sabbath that. Anyway, unique master. Put this card on a ready vampire. If this vampire goes into torpor, his or her controller burns 3 pool. Each Methuselah burns 1 pool during his or her untapped phase. So every vampire is losing on that because it's creating more knowledge out there, and they need to really close this down. But you know what? The main Methuselah lost 3 pool, and now everyone's losing. So you're up by 3 blood on them. Hopefully they give it up and save the vampire, or someone else might go in and save the vampire. Then you can dunk it again for another 3 damage on your prey or predator. Alright, well, that is a dive into my old Brujah deck. Not sure if it's relevant. It seems pretty full on. I'm not sure what decks would do to it in these games now on, but thank you for taking the time. We stock it in the store and looking to get the play groups happening with that. Can't wait. It's a brilliant game. Best multiplayer card game out there, and I'm sticking to that. Have a great one, guys. See ya.